Amazing special guest for you today, and we're going to talk about some of the basics of starting a business and what does it take for you to get from the ground up. Look, you may have been laid off, you may have had a challenge, there may have been some personal struggles. Look, we all go through that, but one of the challenges here in life that we want to start with is that in America, look, this is one of the only places in the world that you can turn around, step up, make decisions, learn almost anything you need to learn right here on your hip. It's called your cell phone or the internet connection or free Wi-Fi, right? With as you've heard it said, you can get your free government phone and walk around and and go to free Wi-Fi in almost any place and learn how to speak French, speak Spanish, build a nuclear reactor, almost anything you want. How about just starting a business? Can you do that? Is that something you can start? Well, look, there's a gentleman by the name of AJ Rassamni. Look, AJ started working in the United States many years ago. I'm going to have him touch on his story a little bit, and we're going to get to some of those details, because I think it's somebody that you need to meet. You're going to bookmark this because you're going to come back, and you're going to want to learn some of the basics of what it takes to start a business, to get started, and to come up from adversity and rebuild it all over again. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come right back. I'm going to introduce you to AJ Rassamni and your place for News Talk Information. This is Arif Halaby on AM 1220 KHTS. This is your place for News Talk and Information, your hometown station. AM 1220 KHTS. Hey, welcome back to the show. Thanks for staying with us. I know you're not going to be disappointed. Special guest, AJ Rassamni. I'm Arif Halaby, Total Financial Solutions Save for Money Hour, along with Jeff Gerard and our special guest, AJ. AJ, tell us a little bit about your background. You know, Jeff and I were both reading the book, and before we get too started, actually, I need to tell you, you know maybe some of this, but the reason that we have any level of success at the level that we have at Total Financial Solutions is because of maybe 10 conversations I've had with you. We have this building today, another little place down the street, and we have a business, our family's taken care of. We have 8 employees. My kids' college is 0 student loans, and one of those people that made that possible is you.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
And that is an amazing thing, because in our life, not too many people have that level of impact. There's probably 5. Certainly my dad is one of the top. But you're right up there from a level of experience and knowledge and insight that has changed my life personally. So on the air and in front of thousands of people, I want to say thank you.
Thank you very much.
Tell me about you. How did you get started in doing what you're doing?
I think the story started when I was in Lebanon. I lived 9 years in the Civil War. I was about 12 years old when the war started. At that time, I heard of a lot of Lebanese people immigrated to the United States. They came here, they lived the American dream, they worked hard, they lived the American dream, and they succeeded. So I believed in the American dream as I was growing up. I remember in '83, I was interviewed by French television. And that was during the worst time of the war. And they said, "Where's your future?" I said, I'm going to America, finish my education, and live the American dream. When somebody succeeds, they make sure the whole world knows about it. When somebody failed, nobody knows. So I never knew that you could come to the United States and fail. The only way you come to the United States is you work hard, you live the American dream, and you succeed.
That's why it's incredible to me when people will run around and complain, whether they're a victim or they've had a hard life or a problem or something happened to them. Because look, bad things happen to good people.
Yes.
But how do you recover from that? You know, you came from something called the Civil War in Lebanon, where people, today, certainly young people have no clue what it was like. I remember being glued to the television as we heard about the latest village or the problems with this area or that area. My dad would know, okay, that's close to home, or that's in the north or the south or away from where he is, you know? How did you decide when you came to the United States to start in business? What was that first step?
So I came to the United States. I was going to college at night, and I was working at a car wash daytime. And when I worked at a car wash, within the first week, I said, wow, I love this business. And I set my goals to own it within 10 years, because I came to live the American dream. I had only $100 in my pocket, and the car wash was worth $1 million. But I say today, luckily, I did not have any friends to tell me that was impossible. I did not know. But from that moment forward, I never saw myself as an employee. I saw myself as the owner that doesn't have the key yet.
The owner without the key. That attitude goes a long ways with the right business, you guys. And the fortunate thing, I think, is you decided that the timing was going to be right. A lot of people will look around, whether they say the economy or the political situation or the weather or the taxes. I mean, you can name whatever it is, the government problems that we might have or don't have, and people will blame their success or lack thereof on an outside force. Instead, you internalize that, took it to the next level, and in fact said, I am going to be responsible for taking this next. Who cares about what the rest of the stuff? It's going to always be different. But the outside, I guess the outside world just isn't going to affect you the same.
I believe whatever happens around you, you're in charge of it. Period. When people say, oh, there's no employment security, I say employment security today exists more than ever. Because when you become so much valuable to the business that the business cannot run without you, that's called employment security. Because if the business owner doesn't pay you extra money, somebody else is going to pay you extra. And that was really the secret why I owned the car wash. I got my first percentage of the car wash is because of that. So what happened is, this is a good story. There was the owner and the GM. The GM owned 40% of the business. I had a problem with the GM. The owner was out of states. And I was right and the GM was wrong. So to make a long story short, the GM said either me or you at the business. He fired me. I said, you can't fire me. Only the business owner can fire me. Only Sam can fire me. So a week later, Sam came back. And Fred picked him up from the airport. And he said, either me or AJ. He left and I stayed. Wow. Because I was so much valuable to the business. The business couldn't run without me. And the problem was, the worry of Sam was that Fred was a very good salesman and the business depended on him. So I stepped forward, I said, I would sell. But within 30 days, I ran into a lot of no's, a lot of rejection. So I started pulling back, said, I can't do this anymore. But whenever the student is ready, the teacher appears. So a friend of mine said, hey, there's Tom Hopkins in the area. You should go and take his course.
And Tom Hopkins, you guys, is a well-known real estate kid who was at 19 years old, started in real estate in the San Fernando Valley, turned it into a multi-million-dollar empire in the sense that his sales teams and organizations, and he was one of those when I started in the financial service world. In fact, this month, September 1996, is when I took my first Tom Hopkins course. So, Gain the Unfair Advantage, a book by A.J. Rassamni. A.J., continue if you will, because this book, Gain the Unfair Advantage, is not a small book. You have well over 200 pages, and it's a book that has a foreword by Robert Allen. And we're going to get to who Robert Allen is and how he looks at and thinks about success as well. So the car wash business comes along. You're there. The general manager and you have a problem. He says, you basically say to the owner, it's either him or you. By making yourself so valuable, Jeff, we were just talking about this, the owner or the business itself has to succeed. What is it that you do? Was it 9 to 5, that's it? Or did you do things after, before business?
Yes, I was working 5 days a week, actually 6 days a week on salary, $250 a week, but I was there 7 days a week because that was my business. I was taking care of it. And how I became more valuable is because normally employees don't like to work. Management don't like to work. So if there's a customer problem, you try to hide because I don't talk to the customer. I come forward. I used to come forward saying, don't worry, I take care of it. Employees' problems, I used to take care of it. Scheduling, I used to do it. So I started taking over charge of everybody. You go sit down, let me be in charge. So within a couple years, I was doing everything at the car wash. Most people go to work 8 hours a day. They only work 2 hours out of the 8. But I was working 8 hours out of the 8. But let me say, when I went, people have to learn to invest in themselves first. Because when I went to Tom Hopkins, I was making $250 a week. His seminar was $150. But when I went there, as if he was only talking to me. He was talking about why the word no is a good word. How can you overcome no? So everything he was talking is what I was there for. He was only talking to me. End of the session, end of the day, I bought his, there were audio cassettes in '89.
Yes.
So before you.
Yeah.
And so I bought his audio cassettes and I went home and I studied them every day. I read, I started reviewing everything I learned from him. Within 30 days, I doubled the sales at the car wash. Wow. I did that 2 months in a row.
That's important, you guys, because this world that says, oh, well, a business is only supposed to grow at a certain percentage. with the idea of sales training, and whether or not Tom Hopkins, I don't know if he's still out and about, but there are some amazing books out there, and Gain the Unfair Advantage by AJ Rassamni is an amazing book. When you go to hometownstation.com, click on Total Financial Solutions, send us a link, and we'll hook you up exactly with the book, and maybe you can even get a discount. Certainly if you mention our show, I'll pick up something and make sure that you can get the next unfair advantage. AJ, one of the stories that impressed me so much when we first met years ago was how at a car wash, guys, you understand what this car wash is, right? It's a car wash where you pull up and the folks, and usually they're Hispanic folks, and they're running along the side and they're washing your car and they're drying it, and when you leave it looks much better than when you got there, right? And you think, gosh, it takes me 2 hours on a Saturday, and these folks can whip it out in a very short period of time. One of the guys got hurt, AJ, and you didn't have a full medical package, but if you remember, we didn't even talk about this, so I don't know if you even remember this story, because I do. It rings true. But one of the young men who worked there and did the car wash stuff got hurt. I want to say, and I might be wrong in this part, that he was playing soccer or doing something on the weekend. He got hurt on his own time. But what did you do? Do you remember that? Where his wife still came?
Wow, okay, actually, the guy died from cancer.
He ended up dying, okay.
Yes, and I took care of his wife. Even for a whole year he was sick, I was paying his salary, taking care of his wife. Even after he passed away for a whole year, as long as I owned a car wash, I was paying her money every time she came in.
Wow. So he was still getting paid,
yes.
if you will. Do you not understand what loyalty is, you guys? You can have a problem, you can be mad about this and mad about that, but when you step up as an owner, as a person of character and integrity, you see, that's what's important. His wife kept coming in for the check. Do you think those other employees didn't look around and see that? They knew.
The way we work, and I think that's what I cover first in my book, it's you have to build the culture. This is the secret sauce of success. You can have a very successful business, and another competitor can come and copy everything you do, copy your system, everything, but they will not succeed, because the secret sauce is the culture that you build. It's the loyalty that you build. Your job as the business owner is to be the servant of your employees. You are there to make sure they are happy, because your employees are the ones that take care of the customers, not you. So when a business owner says, yeah, my number one priority is taking care of the customers. When was the last time you even saw a customer or talked to a customer?
Yeah, right. It's your customer service department. It's the sales department. It's the receptionist at the front door. Those are the people that see and deal with the customer more frequently.
There are two kind of employees you can have. One that comes and work for the check, and one that comes to work to serve the customer. They go back home every day feeling fulfilled that they did something good. And that doesn't happen by accident. It's the business owner that creates that culture.
And that gets started for you when you ultimately sold that car wash. And then what happened? You stayed in the car wash business. Let me back up. You created something that was fascinating to me, something that I still use in other businesses that I've been involved with. And that was, and I'm sure it's been around before, you guys, so don't write me about that, but it's the package deal. Jeff, you've heard me talk about this, where the bronze, gold, platinum, or the gold, silver, platinum, or whatever it is, but the package deal where customers have this triplicate of choice. Remember that?
Yes, triplicate of choice. That's really from Tom Hopkins.
It is exactly,
and it took me years when I learned triplicate of choice. I said, how I'm going to implement this? It took me years to learn, to perfect it, to know how to implement it.
Because you did it, obviously modified it for the car wash business.
Yes.
And I don't know if you remember, Tom Hopkins, of course, was a big influence in your life, but another gentleman by the name of Jay Abraham.
Yes.
Jay was somebody that I found by accident, and I call AJ and I say, oh my gosh, AJ, have you heard of this guy? He's like, yeah, in fact, I have all of his books. And I was struggling, and you actually lent them to me. You lent me a notebook, because back in the day, of course, there were loose leaf notebooks versus PDFs or whatever it is today. And I would scan through that thing, and I would listen to his tapes about how he had a mastermind group, and he created that. And years later, I had a mastermind group that we met with for 2 years. And we met, for the first 3 months, we met every week. And then 6 months, it was twice a month, and then after that, it was once a month. And we met regularly for that period of time, and it was made up of a group of people that had very little in common business-wise. In other words, it wasn't a group of software people or financial people. It was a group of people that had different expertise in different areas, and we would come with a problem. So if you were an IT person and he was a social media person, and that person was a online store, right, expert, and I would come in as the financial expert, if you will, and we'd come up with a problem, and each of us would, okay, AJ, what's your problem? And each person would give their 2 cents, and sometimes people would say, I don't know anything about it, it's not my deal, so, pass. Well, when that person who ended up solving the problem, giving pieces, your problem was done by the end of the 2 or 3 hour session. And that changed everything about who you were. Important, because in business, if you don't have that level of communication, trust, and coordination, I don't think you can go very far.
Yes.
Tell me about that next step for you.
Okay.
You changed, you sold the car wash. You had great success along the way. I remember that.
Before I tell you I sold the car wash, let me tell you how I became owner of the car wash.
Okay,
We skip that.
Yeah, sure.
So after 2 months, when I increased the business 100%, then another 100%, I went to the owner and said, I'm leaving. He said, you can't leave. I said, well, I have better opportunities out there. So we made a deal that day. I doubled my salary to $500, and I started getting commission. So I was making from $250, I started making $1,000 a week. But then I also got 15% of the business.
Nice.
For free for me to stay. He had to give me intense incentive to stay because the business became me. I
That's
am
right.
the business. Okay. I want to say it's since 1989 till today, I do not listen to music in my car. It's called the Auto University. Every day I need to listen and learn something new and implement it. So I created the 3 principles of success. You need to read every day, something that's going to benefit your business. You need to take that information and implement it, because knowledge is not power. Most people think knowledge is power. Knowledge is only potential power. When you take that knowledge and implement it, then it becomes power.
I just finished an article yesterday. I don't know if you got it in your email box, Jeff. Did you get
I was going to say that sounds very familiar.
Yeah, I just finished an article yesterday, and I said, when was knowledge power? And it used to be, and folks, you can go online, you can see our latest article. When did it used to be that knowledge was power? Well, it used to be when you had a farm and 10 children, and you sent your oldest, usually boy, and you said, okay, we're all going to stay here, work the farm. You go out and get knowledge and bring it back. And they would go out to a university 3, 4, 5 years later, they come back and go, gosh, what did you find out? And they would share it with you. Knowledge used to be power. Today, all of knowledge is filtered. You get it all through. I mean, you can learn anything. You get 1.7 million hits in 3 seconds on any search engine. And so what do you do with it? If knowledge was power, we are all kings and queens. What's up? It's the use of the knowledge at the right time and the right sense of knowledge to implement it. It's the action part that's missing.
And that's from Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich.
That's exactly right.
Number 2, and it was a very harsh lesson. I was student of Tony Robbins. And he said, if you want to succeed and become someone in the future, drop all your friends that you have today and find friends already achieve your dreams and goals.
Very difficult.
Very difficult. And I think he's absolutely wrong today. Because if you want to become somebody in the future, drop all your friends you have today and have somebody achieved way beyond your dreams and goals. Because when you're down here, you don't know where you want to get. Because if you only think you want to get to 10, when you get to 10, you're going to get stuck. Because when you get to 10, you realize, I want it to be at 20. So find people achieve way beyond the dreams and goals. And that was one of the reasons I was eventually able to buy the car wash, because all my friends were business owners. And when it came time in 1995 to buy the car wash, I was trying to get a loan and I couldn't get a loan. So I went to one of my friends and I almost gave up. And I said, you know what? I don't think I can buy the car wash. He looked me in the eyes and said, AJ, if you don't buy the car wash, you are stupid. If my friends were people working from check to check,
they would, oh yeah, you're right. Yep, you can't get it. Yeah,
No?
You're right. It's not gonna happen.
Another friend of mine said, I have a house in Bakersfield. It's paid free and clear. I can get you loan out of it, line of credit, for you to have down payment to buy the car wash. But then I did not use them. I used creative financing from my friend Robert Allen. So I used other people's money, zero down, to be able to buy the house, the car wash. That's a long story.
Yes.
This is one. 2, actually, which a key thing is when I got 15% of the car wash, I made a deal with the owner. I said, you keep the money. Because I knew I was going to buy the car wash in 8 more years, because that was my goal, in 10 years total. I said, you keep the money, we're going to keep record of the money. By 1995, he owed me $500,000.
Wow.
Without that $500,000, I couldn't have bought a car wash.
That's right.
And the reason I needed more down payment because I had no credit. Even though my credit was excellent, only had a house, but I never had big purchases, so it was hard to get big
Sure,
loan like this.
of course.
Sure, yeah.
Folks, a lot of this challenge, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and let you absorb some of this. Tell your friends. We'll be back in just a minute. But listen, part of the challenge here is understanding to be successful. It's different, right? Success means different things to different people, but I don't want you to be thinking that business success is doing the same thing you were doing and expecting the same habits if they're bad, expecting the same thinking that if it's bad. How are you going to change that thinking? What are you going to do? Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, you have a job to do. It's after that. It's before that. That's the steps. I don't know, I like the education. You're driving to work, especially if you have a hour drive. That's a fairly good education you can get in your car. We'll be back in just a minute. I'm Arif Halaby, along with Jeff Gerard, special guest AJ Rassamni, from the book Gain the Unfair Advantage, a friend of mine who's very influential in my life, in my business life, AJ Rassamni. I'm Arif Halaby. We'll be right back on AM 1220, KHTS.